Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie and welcome to another episode of the Catskull Academy, the series that aims to teach you everything you need to know about the various different systems and game mechanics at play in EVE Echoes. In today's lesson we're going to be talking about monetization, and I know that that can be seen as a bit of a dirty word in gaming. It's how to spend real money into a game like this. Ultimately though, we do need to cover this as a topic for EVE Echoes because this is a game that is technically free to play. I wouldn't argue that it is a free to play game, I would argue that it is a subscription based game that has free to play options, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But ultimately a game like this does still need to make money. We need to understand that a video game is still a business, and thus a game that doesn't make money is one that will be closed down. Fortunately, EVE Echoes has a lot of different options for all kinds of players. If you can't afford to pay anything at all, then you are still going to be okay. There are still ways to make it in EVE Echoes. If you've only got a small budget or if you've got a large budget, if you're not sure what you fancy spending money on, that's what this video is going to be covering. Everything from Omega to the Concord Pass and everything in between. There are a lot of different options, there's a lot to get into, so as usual, we're going to pretty much jump straight in on this one. That said, if you do enjoy the video, please let me know by hitting like on it, subscribe to the channel for all things EVE Echoes, and make sure that if you are a new player, you check out the full Catskull Academy playlist. It's designed to teach you everything you need to know to get the very best start possible in the game. Okay, all that said and done then, let's talk about monetization. This of course is going to require us to go into the store from the main menu. Now, the first thing to note about EVE Echoes is it is a subscription-based game that has free-to-play options. That's how I personally prefer to word this. Basically, the game assumes that you are going to have what is referred to as Omega. This opens up the vast majority of the game. Essentially consider being an alpha clone as either a free trial or as a sort of backup if you can't afford to pay for your subscription for a particular month. Now, this is in vast contrast to games like, say, Final Fantasy XIV Online or World of Warcraft, where if your subscription lapses, that's it. You cannot play at all, you cannot even log in. In Echoes, you can still log in, but you will lose access to anything that Omega had given you. So, let's have a look at this, because it can be pretty confusing for new players. Essentially, there are three stages of Omega. There is Basic Omega, there is Standard Omega, and then there is Duo, or sometimes referred to as Combo Omega. Now, there's not actually all that much difference between these. Basic Omega is all that is needed in order to unlock the full game experience, and you can get 30 days of this for as little as $4.99, as you can see in the center of the screen now. Standard is a bit more than Basic Omega. Basic Omega unlocks everything, but that's pretty much all it does. Standard Omega unlocks everything and gives you more skill points per minute, so it helps you train up faster. Duo Omega then adds a little bit extra on. It's basically Basic and Standard combined. You'll still only get 30 days of it, despite the increased price tag, but it is more skill points per minute. That's ultimately all that this boils down to. If you just want to unlock all of the capabilities of the game, then Basic Omega is everything that you will need. Standard and Duo are nice if you want to go into extra stuff, but they are not a necessity. Now, to talk about what is locked behind Omega, let's first of all go into the ship tree and have a look here. So if we're just here in the Amar Empire ship tree, the same is true for all of the ship trees, of course. Every ship in the game, pretty much, up to and including Tech Level 7, is available as an alpha pilot. Once you hit Tech Level 8, however, these are locked behind Omega. You cannot fly a Tech Level 8 ship if you do not have Omega. This means that most of the battle cruisers, and indeed all of the battleships, require you to have an Omega on your account. The same is true for some of the other ships as well. If we have a look at the ore ship tree, for example, the things like the Retriever, the fact that the Retriever is a Tech 7 ship is a little bit misleading. This does require Omega in order for you to be able to fly. There is also an auto-translate feature in the game that requires you to be an Omega clone as well if you want to be able to access that. And of course, finally, skills. If we were to have a look at the skill tree, for example, let's just go into the cruising to here. Frigate Command is going to require just basic. You can do this as an alpha, but advanced and expert Frigate Command will require you to have an Omega license attached to your account. You'll need to be Omega in order to train advanced Frigate Command or expert Frigate Command. Indeed, any skill that has advanced or expert in its name will require you to have Omega in order to train those. Now, what this means essentially is, if you buy 30 days of Omega, and then day 31 comes and you don't have any more Omega, then any skills that are currently listed as advanced or expert will be locked. You will not have access to those skills, they will stop benefiting any ship that you are flying, and if you have ships that are Tech 8 or higher, you will not be able to undock them until your Omega status is restored. Now, of course, ultimately this does mean you can still fly your basic ships, anything Tech 7 and below, and it does mean you can still play the game, but it is worth noting, of course, if we go back into the ship tree and just have a look at some of these ships. If we go to Tech Level 5 here, you can see that things like the Omen use medium laser operation and cruiser command, but if we go up to the Omen Navy issue, this suddenly uses advanced medium laser operation and advanced cruiser command. Now, you'll be able to undock the Omen Navy issue. It is not an Omega level ship, but you will not have access to the advanced medium laser operation or advanced cruiser command skill, therefore the ship will not get any bonuses from those. That is worth bearing in mind. This is why I ultimately say that Omega is not something you need to think about until you're hitting Tech 6 and above. Then it is something that perhaps you should consider, and there are multiple ways that you can access this. Of course, you can swipe your credit card and just pay directly with Google Play or iOS. As you can see here, these are the different options: $4.99, $12.99, and $14.99. But if we go into Pilot Service, you'll find that you can actually buy these as well directly here. You can also buy Omega with your standard Plex as well. You can actually do that. So if we go into your character screen here, in the top right, you will see when this loads, we have a list of Omega. You can see this particular character has 3 days of Omega left. That's not 3 days of basic and 3 days of standard, so 6 in total. That is 3 days. In 3 days' time, I will run out of Omega. But because I've got basic and standard, you can see I'm earning 60 skill points per minute here on the right-hand side. And if we tap that little eye, you can see more of it there. Ultimately, we'll talk about Corporation Omega in just a moment, but for now, just understand that that is how to find that there. If we tap on the actual Omega logo, this will bring up the Omega clone screen. Here you can see that in addition to buying it in the store with real money, we can buy this using Plex. Now again, basic Omega is the only one that is required in order to unlock everything. This will unlock all of the skills, all of the abilities, all of the ships, things like that, available to you in EVE Echoes for 170 Plex for 30 days of basic Omega. It will also increase your skill training speed to 35 skill points per second. Whereas, obviously, if you go for Duo, you can see that that would be the basic 30 plus the 30 skill points per minute there, giving you 60 skill points per minute, but that is 500 Plex for the month. 170 Plex is all you need. Now, if you want to buy Plex, you can do so using ISK. If we go back to the store here and tap on Plex here at the top, you'll see that there is an option, spend ISK to exchange for Plex. We can open up the store and you'll be able to see how much this costs. So at current time, if we wanted to have the 170 Plex required for basic Omega, you can see that for a month, that is going to cost you 442 million ISK. That is not a cheap amount of ISK, that is not an achievable amount of ISK for a new player, so I don't recommend going down this route early on. Ultimately, I recommend starting off with a couple of weeks or months of Omega to get you into the swing of things, get you skilling up into some of the bigger ships, where that 442 million is actually really quite achievable once you hit about Tech Level 7, Tech Level 8. To earn that amount of ISK in a month isn't too difficult, it just requires a bit of dedication and input. Ultimately, at that point in time, if you can earn 442 million ISK a month, you can keep your subscription going indefinitely, as long as you earn that. And if you just happen to, for 1 month, drop off the radar, you don't renew your subscription for that month, you can still play, you can still earn ISK, or you can just, buy a month of Omega and go back into the game that way. So that is Omega, and it's worth noting that there are some bundles as well that you can buy. Yes, I know people look at like £170 and think, oh my goodness, that's insane, but there are some people who will want to do this. That will give you 360 days, an entire year pretty much there, give or take 5 days, of Omega subscription. You'll also get a whole load of Plex, which of course you can then either sell to get ISK, or you can keep that to buy more Omega in future. Just as a point here as well, these are basic and standard Omega, which counts as duo Omega when it's combined. You get the effects of both, so you get the full skill training and the unlock of everything. Now that's not everything that you can unlock with Omega, and there are some things that we'll talk about regarding Omega later on, but if we go back into the hot menu here as well, you will see that there are some other options we can buy with real money, and some of these do contain Omega. So let's have a look at these in order. The new pilot takeoff supply. This has 3 days of basic and standard, so it's 3 days of duo Omega, 25 Plex, a destroyer modified opt box. This basically gives you your choice of a special exclusive destroyer, the Coercer, Cormorant, Catalyst, or Thrasher modified. These are very close to the Tech 2 equivalent, so like the Thrasher 2, the Coercer 2, the Cormorant 2, and the Catalyst 2. In a sense, they're slightly better if you don't have as high skills. Once you are skilled up, the Thrasher 2, Coercer 2, Cormorant 2, and Catalyst 2 will be better, but obviously you get this for free. You also get a load of insurance points, a small weapon supply chest to help you fit it, along with small module supply and small sub-weapon supply. That will give you these like the high, mid, and low slots required to fit whichever destroyer you choose. So if, for example, you go into the destroyer modified opt box and you decide to take the modified Thrasher, then as we come back out here, when you go into the small weapon supply chest, you would go for the test small autocannons, and if we go into the sub-weapon supply chest, you can choose what you want from there, and the module supply chest would probably be looking at things like the shield booster and things like that to help you get fitted and off the ground. It also gives you Destroyer Defense Upgrade Level 4 and Advanced Destroyer Defense Upgrade Level 3. This allows you to train those skills instantly, so you will have much more defensive destroyers. Your destroyers will be able to take a bit more of a pounding before that, they get destroyed. I'm sure you're aware of what those skills do. The second box to look at then is the New Capsuleer Supply Medium. This again, if we scroll up, there we are, gives you 50 insurance points. It gives you a modified cruiser opt box, which is either an Omen, a Caracal, a Vexor, or a Stabber. These are really good cruisers. They will help you get off the ground nice and easily. So if you've been doing the daily login rewards and the whole road, and you've got the 7 of those and the trainer, you hopefully know which of those ships you like. So if you went for the Omen trainer, then the Omen modified is of course a brilliant option for you here. You also get 48 Plex, which will either go towards another month of Omega at some point in the future, or you can sell it for ISK, or use it for other things in the store as well. You get medium weapon supply, medium sub-weapon supply, and medium module supply to help you fit that particular cruiser, and you'll get chips for Advanced Cruiser Command and Advanced Cruiser Engineering, which will take you all the way up to those particular skill levels, giving you, again, a little bit of a boost in flying cruisers early on. We then have the 7-day skill full speed growth. This gives you 7 days of combo Omega. It's quite cheap still at £3.29 or whatever that works to in your local currency. This will give you 7 days of combo Omega, Destroyer Command, Destroyer Engineering, Trade, Accounting, and Freight. Now, some of those I'm sure you'll spot are included in the advanced tutorials and indeed in the early tutorials as well. If you have those skill chips already and you've used them, or you buy this and you earn those skill chips in future, they will just give you raw skill points. They refund the skill points that you've used for that skill, which means you can then put those into other skills, which is really, really cool. And this is a great way to quickly boost up your tech level. Early on, you'll hit tech level 5 very, very quickly using some of these bundles. We then finally have the new Pilot Capsuleer supplies, L, the large ones. There's again 100 insurance points to help you bring back a ship you lose, 120 Plex, which is almost enough for a month of Omega itself, and if you've bought any of the other boxes, well, then you're going to get that as well. You've got a Comet Cruiser Nanocore, so if you've bought one of the recent cruisers, like the Omen Modified or things like that, then you can add one of these to it, which will give it new stats and abilities and improve it and make it an even better ship for you to fly, which I think is pretty cool. You then also get nanocore materials to help improve that nanocore there. Now, I have done a Catskull Academy video on what nanocores are and how they work. I won't delve into that here. So those are excellent ways to get started. If you want to just try and see what Omega could be like, then looking at like the takeoff supply, that is going to give you a nice easy boost for less than £1. I think this is 99 cents. It's a very cheap way of just trying the game, getting a free ship out of it that you can have some fun with, see how that works, and then from there you can start upgrading with the medium to grab yourself some extra big ships there like the cruisers. If you then go for the capsuleer supplies also, if you go for the small, medium and large, you're going to be able to have enough Plex there for a month of Omega, on top of what these give you themselves. You're going to have an exclusive destroyer, an exclusive cruiser, all the fittings required for those, and a super cool nano core that will help you out. And of course, if you like Omega, or you just want to try Omega and don't want the extra ships, you can go for the 7-day skill full speed growth bundle as well. That will really help you out. And you'll notice I haven't mentioned the Pilot Growth Fund here. This is because this is a whole separate thing. You can either find it in the store by tapping on that particular item, or if we close all that down and go into the menu again, if we go into Event, you'll find this here as well. Let's scroll down a little bit to the Growth Fund there. Now basically what the Growth Fund does is it rewards you for basically sticking with the game. When you reach tech level 1, which you are at the start of the game, this is going to give you 1,000 skill points completely free, so make sure you check this menu and claim those 1,000 skill points. You'll get another 1,000 skill points once you hit tech level 2. Once you hit tech level 3, there's an additional 2,000. At tech level 4, there's an additional 5,000. At tech level 5, which is where this character is now, I've got 10,000 skill points that I've claimed, and so on. This will go right the way until you hit tech level 10, giving you additional skill points for each of those boundaries. Now, if you want to, you can spend £18.49, or whatever that works to in your local currency, to unlock the Growth Fund on the right-hand side. This will give you insurance points and Plex every time that you uncover those parts as well, and when you reach each of those milestones. So for example, once you hit tech level 6, you'll gain 25,000 skill points whether or not you have the Growth Fund. If you have the Growth Fund, you'll also gain an additional 80 Plex and 800 insurance points. Personally, I think this is really good value. It's quite expensive, so it tends to be lower down the priority list of purchases, but definitely if you have the money and this is a game you do want to invest in, this is a really good way of doing so, and it is going to help you with that. It's also worth noting, while we're here on this event menu, the Omega special deal here towards the bottom. Basically, the longer that you have Combo Omega, the more things you will unlock from this track, and this is absolutely spectacular. If you have 7 days of Combo Omega, the game will give you a brand new ship, the Sunesis. This is a bit of a weird ship. It's not one I tend to use all that much. It's useful for scanning. It can fire any type of weapon that you like. It uses drones, it uses missiles, it uses turrets, so whatever you fancy putting in the high slots, you can do so, and you get good drone damage as well. It's a great ship very early on whilst you're skilling up things. It allows you to try different weapon systems and see what kind of gels with you, what you enjoy using, and then you can go from there. Don't expect this ship to be one that you use for long, but it is quite a fun one, and again, it is exclusive to this. Once you have had 30 days of Combo Omega in total, and it is Combo Omega you have to have for this, you will unlock a special core for the Sunesis, one of the nano cores there. You'll get 50,000 skill points, 1,000 IP insurance points, a really cool weapon box here that will allow you to pick some of those weapons to try on the Sunesis. You'll get 5 million ISK and 100 Plex, and this goes all the way along. I won't go into the full details here, but you can see that the longer that you have Combo Omega, it doesn't have to be cumulative. If your subscription falls off and then you come back later and add more, it will still start counting towards this. If you win one of my free months of Combo Omega that I can give out, it won't initially count towards this until you purchase something that tops it up, at which point it will then trigger. So if, for example, you had you'd already done 60 days of Combo Omega, so say you've done 30 days of Combo Omega, you've had 30 days and you've claimed that 30, you then win one of my competitions, win 30 days of Combo Omega again, that takes you to 60. If you then buy another 30, that will take you into the 90 to give you the 90 days total here. But if you had 60 and then I gave you a free month of combo, it won't initially trigger that 90. You would have to then buy, say, a 7-day or a month or whatever to get the additional there. It will then trigger and activate that. It only triggers on a purchase for some curious reason. Love it or hate it, unfortunately that is just how it works right now. But obviously those 3 months will help you towards whichever goal you get. This is an absolutely amazing system, and if you are willing to stick with this right the way to the end, you do get some things like a really cool exclusive medal here. You also get an exclusive battleship towards the end, the Praxis, which is a very cool looking ship. Again, this is one that I don't see a lot of people use, but it can be a lot of fun just to try out battleships. And of course, then a Deathglow core for this as well, which is just really, really cool looking, along with 2 million skill points, 100 million ISK, 500 Plex. There's just so much that you can get out of this by sort of adding on Omega. And you don't have to wait for that to activate. If you really, really wanted to, I'm not suggesting I would recommend this, but if you did buy, for example, that bundle that gave you a full 360 of Omega, then the second that you've bought that bundle, you would have access all the way up to here. With the 360 days in total, you'd have everything up to and including that particular part of the Omega special deal. To me, that's a really cool thing just to keep an eye out on as you are upgrading and using your combo Omega. If we jump back into the store though, there's a couple of other things just to touch on briefly. If we go into pilot service, you'll find these things here called cognitive neuroscience chips. These are unusual and they are sort of reverse stacked, if that makes sense. They are skill chips. They give you a skill called cognitive neuroscience 1, advanced cognitive neuroscience, and expert cognitive neuroscience. What these do is flat out increase the amount of skill points per minute you get. If you just buy the first chip, which is 55 Aurum, you can buy that here. You'll see that will work out for about £3, $3 or whatever that works out to in your local currency in Aurum, which you would buy here. I'm going to come out of that though. Ultimately, if you buy the first one, it's 55 Aurum, and that will give you an additional 5 skill points per minute permanently from this time on. That is a really useful skill because it's going to help you level up that little bit faster. 5 skill points doesn't sound much, but over days and weeks that adds up to a whole ton of extra. The second one, the advanced cognitive, still only adds an additional 5 skill points, but you'll notice it is more expensive at 165 Aurum. And then finally, the third one, expert cognitive neuroscience, is again only 5 skill points, but it's 825 Aurum. This is a very expensive way of getting all the way up to the top. Now, some people have asked me, why is this the case? Why is it that they're all the same 5 skill points, but this last one is so much more expensive? Well, the concept is that essentially you are able to, if you have the money and the desire, you can drop a lot of money to get a very small bonus. It means that there is no one who is going to have a ridiculous bonus just because they've got a big amount of credit card, but it also incentivizes larger purchases for those who are able to help support the game. Now, I like this system because they're not huge, but they are noticeable over time. Like, if you have full Cognitive Neuroscience 3 and Combo Omega 3, you're going to hit Tech 10 in a lot faster time than someone who is just running basic Omega with none of the Cognitive Neuroscience. But it's entirely up to you whether or not you look into that. Certainly, the first one, the Cognitive Neuroscience 1, I do strongly recommend if you can afford it. It is a very useful skill chip to have. If you can get the others, that's entirely up to you. Obviously, the sooner you get these, the more effect you will have out of them. That's not to give you kind of any form of FOMO, that's just simple mathematical fact. If you buy these immediately on day 1, then you're getting 15 skill points per minute every minute from when you started the game. If you buy these 3 months in, then you've already had 3 months worth of minutes that they haven't benefited from. I'm genuinely not trying to give you FOMO here, just think about this, at least go for the 55 if you can afford it. It does really help over a long period of time, which hopefully you're going to be sticking around in the game for a long period of time. Now, the final big bit of monetization that I want to talk about is what's called the Concord Pass. Now, if you have played Battle Royale, well, pretty much any online game other than Eve Echoes in the past, you're probably familiar with a Battle Pass, and that's what Concord Pass is. Essentially, every week you have a whole load of missions, and you can change these missions yourself. You'll have a load of random stuff here. If you tap on the little icon here on the right hand side, you can change these to be different missions depending on your playstyle. You can figure out which of these are going to be something that helps you out. Every time you complete those missions, you earn the number of points shown on the left hand side there, so 20 points for this one, it'd be 40 points for this one, and so on and so forth. As you accrue those points, you fill up the little wheel here on the left hand side. You can see mine's at 28 out of 100. Every time it hits 100, you level up 1 block along the pass. Now, everyone always gets the free items. You can see on this account, the left-hand items all have that little sort of green tick arrow thing. That symbolises that I have collected them. I haven't collected level 4 yet. I haven't reached that point. Now, everyone gets the free track, and you can have a look at view all rewards to see what you can theoretically earn on this track. There's a lot of skill points there, insurance points, Concord credits, which we'll talk about in a moment, and other stuff there you can look into. If you do purchase the advanced pass, you can get more out of this. Again, like with Omega, you only need to go for the basic, the advanced Concord Pass for 249 Aurum. If you unlock that, you'll suddenly get all of the right-hand options here as well. You can see highlighting like the Concord credits. And yes, if you manage to get all the way to, say, level 34, let's go all the way to level 34, just for the crazies. If you manage to get all the way to, say, level 34, and you've just gone for the free, you'll get those skill points there. You then go, oh, I'm going to purchase the Concord Pass. All 34 levels worth of rewards are suddenly claimable. All of the ones that had been locked, you can go back to. There's no time limit on those until the pass closes, and that's usually just before a new pass comes into play. So ultimately, if you do buy the Concord Pass later, if you buy that advanced Concord Pass later on, you will earn everything that you'd already unlocked. There is the Elite Partner Pass. This adds 15 levels. So if you were to buy this at level 34, it's going to jump you all the way up to level 49 and then unlock everything for you as well. If you buy it on day 1, then you'll start at level 15, so on and so forth. So it's up to you if that's something that's useful for you. If you think that's a really cool idea, you can purchase pass levels, but honestly, I really don't rate that as a good use of Plex. I'd rather put that towards Combo Omega and so on and so forth. And that's basically everything there is to talk about in regards to monetization in Eve Echoes. This is a game that does incentivize you to make small payments. Definitely you are going to want to have Omega, at least basic Omega, fairly early on. You might decide that you quite like the idea of the cognitive neuroscience chips. You fancy starting off with some of those active boxes that are going to give you Plex to help you towards another month of Combo Omega. They're going to give you 7 days of Combo Omega, free ships and stuff like that to get you started. You might decide that you quite like those. There are options for big spenders as well, and they frequently do events that incentivize that, but for now, those are your options. You can spend as little as you like or as much as you like, and as you start getting further and further into the game, you may even find that you don't need to pay any more, even for your monthly subscription, because you can earn the amount of ISK required to buy the Plex, to buy Omega that way. And of course, if you have just started in the game, make sure as well that you're commenting on my YouTube videos and that you've joined the Catskull Academy Discord. Every week, I give one random YouTube commenter and 2 people randomly on my Discord a month of Combo Omega each. That's completely free, and that will obviously help you try it in the game. So make sure you are commenting, you're posting, and you're talking, both on my Discord and in the comment section down below. Anyway, folks, I hope this one really helps you. Again, I know monetization is a bit of a controversial topic. Some people love it, some people hate it. I just wanted to be open and honest, and I'm not going to say that I agree with any of this or I disagree with any of this. I'm merely showing you what is available and what I think the best options are, specifically aimed at new players. Anyway, folks, hopefully that helps you out. Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching right the way to the end. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.